Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 where the truth is told no matter what, no matter how uncomfortable. So today we're diving into what might be the most aggressive trade agenda in modern history. We're going to call it the Trump trade reset. The Trump trade reset. And I know, and I warned everybody for weeks and weeks that there would be great turbulence here. But sometimes you have to get through the turbulence to get to the good side. Okay, Donald Trump's second term has launched a barrage of economic shifts, headlined by what he called Liberation Day. Remember that? A universal 10% import tariff across the board. That's right, everything. Cars, sneakers, TVs, monitors, raw materials, steel, plastic, everything, you name it. Plus targeted tariffs up to 50% on countries like China, and India, and Mexico. Why? Because there's national security and economic self-defense under IEEPA, the same playbook used during his first term. Except this time, there's no waiting for negotiations. It's pay up, step out. No surprise, China fired back, of course. Because they have to. That's what we don't understand. They have to. China is suffering. And China understands this. China understands that their main customer is you. Their main customer is me. They know that. So initially, the Trump team hit them with a staggering 145% tariff on certain imports. That nearly halted electronic and consumer goods. Beijing said, okay, now they're in a 90-day truce. 30% U.S. tariffs, 10% Chinese tariffs. Critical sectors like automobiles and steel is still burning. Now, India, we forget poor India. They're just trying to keep the doors open. I mean, India doesn't have this thriving economy. Not by any stretch of the imagination. They're just trying to keep the doors open. They're talking about a 3-phase deal to avoid a looming 26% tariff. Phase 1, protect agriculture and tech. These stakes are high, and India is walking a tightrope. A tightrope. Meanwhile, over in the UK, we just saw that tea and trade are flowing freely. Trump struck a new deal with the UK, scrapping tariffs on aircraft parts and sparing 100,000 British cars from new U.S. auto tariffs. It's a rare win-win. And even the Heritage Foundation is already calling it a model for bilateral agreements. Someplace we don't think about. Vietnam. Now, if you go around your house and you start turning stuff over, start seeing where crap is made. What were these Samsung headphones made? Probably in China, I'm guessing. You start looking at finding where crap was made, you'll notice that a lot of stuff is made in Vietnam now. Vietnam got slapped with a 46% tariff over accusations of trans-shipping. Now, here's what trans-shipping or trans-washing is. We talked a little bit about this in a previous video. It's essentially taking a Chinese good through their ports. In return, they promise to buy more American soybeans and step up enforcement. Also, side note, the Trump org is building a $1.5 billion tower in Ho Chi Minh City. A coincidence? No, not at all. But let's get back to a little bit of trans washing, transportation washing. So something's made in China, and they decide that they're going to the Chinese are going to send that good to another country, let's say Malaysia. And then Malaysia puts which has a lower tariff, puts their made in Malaysia stamp on it, and then puts it on the ship and sends it to the United States, right? So it doesn't get hit with as big a tariff, right? Because maybe China and Malaysia don't have tariffs against each other. That's the game that China needs to play. Why? Because they're suffering. That's the game. Some of y'all don't get that. China is playing that game because they have to. Not because they want to. They have to. So we really have leverage, and we really need to move forward on that. We really do. Now even here in North America, we have our friends, Canada, and maybe our friends, Mexico, didn't escape it either. Because most goods face a 25% tariff, with some energy imports getting a hall pass. But both countries hit back with their own duties. Though some goods still glide through under the U.S. MCA framework. But tensions are still pretty high. And that's okay. That's okay. Some critics say that inflation is ticking back up. Businesses say they're stuck between price hikes and shrinking margins. This is part of the turbulence that I keep talking about. When you're making these economic shifts and when you're making these large economic resets, because a reset had to be made. There was no way. There's no way, absolutely, positively no way that what was going on was sustainable for the United States. We couldn't keep financing the benefit and the gain of other nations. We just couldn't keep that up over a long term. It just couldn't happen. And at the expense of our own industry. And this idea, and this continuous idea that, well, we don't make things here anymore, and that's okay. We're just going to be a consumer of everybody else's goods. Now, we talked about this in previous videos. We talked about, okay, now, my thought is, okay, so let's say we don't make toasters. Okay. We don't make toasters. Okay, that's fine. Or we don't make, I don't know, brooms. Every broom that we have in the United States will someday be made in Vietnam. Okay, but that doesn't crush our economy. Neither of those things, if somehow China gets mad at us and stops importing toasters, doesn't really shut us down. Or we get into a tiff with Vietnam and we don't have any brooms. That doesn't shut us down. But medicine, things like masks, things like protective equipment, energy, we get into a tiff over something and they decide to not send that stuff to the United States. Airplane parts to fix medical equipment. Now we got a problem. Chips for stuff, semiconductors. Now we got a problem. It's amazing that some people can't, or actually they won't see that. Or they do and they don't care, which is something else entirely. That they do see it. They do see the danger in it and don't care. That we have to kowtow to the rest of the world's demands in order to make sure that we have the stuff that we need to survive as a nation. And how that is not sustainable. At some point, we've got to start making the shift back to, can we produce at least the stuff that we need? At least. Again, if we don't produce toasters, okay. If we don't produce brooms, okay. But airplane parts, semiconductors, parts to fix medical equipment, provide for our own energy. Even if you're down with the whole green energy thing, the idea that if we can't start producing our own solar panels, that all our solar panels will come from China, because most of them do. How, again, how, wait, how do you think that we're going, if you're even buying the whole, we need to shift into green energy and away from fossil fuels, which is an incorrect term, even if you believe that, how do you think that we're going to make that shift if you depend on a nation that is hell-bent on your destruction? How are you going to keep doing that? How? Unless you decide that part of the manufacturing that you have to do is producing these things on your own, to make sure that you have a steady supply. To make sure that you have a steady supply when there's a natural disaster, a fire, a hurricane, or tornadoes that tear these things up. How are people not getting that? I don't understand. How are people not getting that? I certainly understand that we got to stop depending on Saudi Arabia and the Middle East for oil, because we need oil to make all the fuels and the things that we need here, not just to run cars, but to provide for electricity, to do this, to provide oil to make, I don't know, probably can't see that, but bottles, right? Yeah, I don't have a green screen today, so you can see that. You know, the plastic for the headphone, I mean, all those are petroleum-based products. A lot of medicine is petroleum-based. So why would, it doesn't make any sense that you would be okay with other nations supplying you with these things and you not producing any of them on your own. It would seem lazy and foolish. Foolish. My grandma used to have a phrase when she was talking about unruly children. They're so free until they're foolish. And I think that Americans have that problem. We have such a cake life. When you compare our life to other places around the planet, what people have to do every day, I don't know, just to get to the end of the day. We have a pretty cake life, even in our worst situations. Even in our worst situations, most of Americans eat every day. They do. Yes, we have a hunger problem because we have some people who don't eat. We have anybody that, you know, in America, if someone doesn't eat, now we've got a hunger problem. But the fact of the matter is that most people eat every day. The fact of the matter is that most people live indoors every day. Most people live in a structure that is safe, that is not going to fall in on their heads. Most people live in a structure that doesn't have a dirt floor. Most of us can get medical attention. Most of us. Now, people are going to argue, the healthcare system in America, blah, 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 blah. But we have, here's the deal, we have a system. Is it perfect? No. Are there any systems on the planet that are perfect? No, not at all. Why? Because there's humans involved. There's humans, and there is still, even in those parts of the world that have socialized medicine, there's still socialized profit involved. These people aren't operating these healthcare systems out of the goodness and joy of their heart. They are not. There's profit behind them. Certain companies are making big ass dollars. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. So the idea is that we live in a pretty soft life here in America, in comparison to a lot of places, you know, in the world. We live a pretty soft life. Even the poorest of us live a pretty soft life in comparison to other places on the planet. If you are struggling and you need help in America, you can get it. If you are struggling and need help in a place in a place like rural Nigeria or India, you're screwed. You are screwed. Not here. Not here. Here you're a victim class. And then everyone feels obligated to make sure that you're not a victim class anymore. Education. Basic education, K through 12 education in the United States, no matter what you think about the quality of it, is free. As a matter of fact, it's more than free, it's compulsory. You got to send your kids to school. If you don't send your kids to school, they can put you in jail in a lot of places. And in a lot of places around the world, that K-12 education you have to pay for. A lot of places on the African continent, you have to pay for it. Yeah. Here, not only do you not have to pay for it, it's compulsory. They make you do it. They send a bus for your kid and take them there. And feed them while they're there. And feed them while they're there. They give them breakfast and lunch. And in some places, they'll even give them dinner to take home to the family. We live a pretty soft life. Which is why I don't think we understand. I went off on a tangent, I'm sorry. I don't think we understand some of these economic resets that have to be done in order to keep this going. Because the fact of the matter is that this short-term pain will lead to long-term gain. Rebuilding America, manufacturing, and ending dependence on foreign economies. For the market, yes, volatile, turbulence. Consumers can feel a pinch for a little bit, yes. Now, the question is, will this pay off? Yes. I believe that this will pay off. Now, that's today's truth. Whether it's comfortable or not, this is the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.